Alright, so problem 2 says, please rewrite the following rational expression in reduced form, and then the domain of the functions. So, rewriting the rational expression in reduced form just literally means factor and cancel. So, looking up top, I see, okay, I've got x squared minus 3x. They have a GCF of an x that I'm going to pull out. So I've got x minus 3 up top. And then on the denominator is what's called difference of squares, where my two bookends are perfect squares with a minus in between. How we factor those, if we recall, that should be x plus 3 and x minus 3. Alright, factor and cancel. I factored, now I cancel. Magic that. If factor matches up top and matches on bottom, they cancel out, leaving me with just x over x plus 3. The weird part is, in the domain, we actually have to consider the original function. So going back to the original function, I see, okay, I've got an x plus 3 and an x minus 3. And then I have to recall just from a minute ago that I can't have fractions with the denominator equaling 0. Well, I know if either one of these particular factors equals 0, 0 times anything is 0. So if this particular piece was 0 times this entire factor, that's 0 times a number, which is 0. Or if this entire piece, my factor, equals 0, then 0 times a number is going to equal 0. So I've got to consider both of these cases when looking at the domain. So, setting each factor equal to 0 separately, I should be able to see that I can't have x equal to negative 3 and x not equal to 3. I can include everything else other than negative 3 and positive 3. So everything before negative 3 on a number line would look something like, okay, I've got negative 3, I've got positive 3. Everything until negative 3, and then I'd have an open circle. I'd have everything in between, except 3, open circle, and then I'd have everything after. Alright, so this particular piece with interval notation would be reading from left to right, negative infinity all the way to negative 3, union with negative 3 to 3, union with 3 to infinity. Okay, so again, infinities do not get brackets, they get parentheses, and my negative 3 and positive 3 are not included in this interval, which is why those particular numbers get parentheses as well. If I wanted to write this in set builder notation, then I would just say, okay, the set of all x's such that x cannot equal negative 3, comma 3. And then close my bracket. Or I guess in this particular case, you could just say x does not equal plus or minus 3. That would also work in this particular case, but only this particular case. Moving right along, need a little bit more room. Alright, so need to factor the top, need to factor the bottom. Factoring the top, I should get y minus 6 and y plus 5 over y minus 6 and y plus 3. Yes. Okay, so we factored, now we cancel, so cancel, I get y plus 5 over y plus 3, because those are the only ones that don't cancel, so that's writing it in reduced form. And then it says list the domain. Listing the domain, I have to consider my original function, so looking at my denominator in my original function, because that's the only thing that would make my domain funky, is if my denominator is 0. Bad day at the office. So I know that one of these two factors, or both of these factors, cannot equal 0. So just looking at this, we should be able to tell that, hey, y should not equal 6, and y should not equal negative 3. So again, set builder notation's not too bad. So you put the set of all y's such that y cannot equal 6 or negative 3. I'm not too picky about which one comes first. I know there's some math teachers that are like, oh, you have to put it numerically first, so you'd have to put the negative 3 and then the 6. I don't mind. I'm not really one of those. As long as you've listed both of your numbers that you're supposed to list, I am a-okay, guys. Alright, and then as far as interval notation goes, because I do prefer interval notation, to be completely honest, interval notation, I'm including everything except for -3 and 6. So again, going back to that basic number line, just to try to connect these ideas, because I'm not sure how far you guys got in Algebra 2. Alright, everything but -3 would include everything before -3 all the way up to -3. And then everything in between -3 and 6, and everything after 6. So, starting from the left, going to the right, I would come in from -infinity all the way up to -3. Not include that 3. Union with -3 to 6. And then that would be union with 6 to infinity. Again, parentheses, because none of those are technically included. Alright.